It's a pretty familiar daydream for, well, basically anyone running a successful Shopify store. You've got your storefront perfectly curated, your branding is dialed in, the checkout is just, humming along nicely. But you are always looking at the horizon.
Right, you're looking for that next big growth lever.
Exactly. You look at a giant like eBay and you see this just massive untapped ocean of potential buyers. I mean, we are talking about millions of people, credit cards already on file, actively searching for the exact type of products you sell. And naturally, the pitch from the software industry is always the exact same.
Oh yeah, just plug it in.
Right. Just plug it in, click a button, sync your catalog across the web, and, let the rising tide lift your sales.
Which is, the promise of omnichannel commerce always sounds so effortless on a landing page. But any seasoned merchant knows that whenever you connect to entirely different software ecosystems, you aren't just plugging in a simple cable, or essentially attempting to translate between two fundamentally opposed philosophies of how a product should be sold, how it's categorized, and how it's tracked.
Which brings us to our mission for this deep dive. You, our listener, are eyeing that eBay ocean, and we have a highly detailed 32-minute technical guide dated July 31st, 2026 that maps out the true realities of the official eBay Shopify integration.
Yeah, and it's a dense read.
It really is. So we are going to figure out what it actually takes to open this channel, what data genuinely sync us, what inevitably breaks, and I think most importantly, what you are actually left with in your bank account at the end of the month.
Right. And to set a solid baseline here, if you just search the web for how to connect these platforms, your results will be completely flooded with, expensive third-party app advertisements.
Oh, for sure. Page after page of them.
Yeah, but there's a first-party official route. It's Shopify's own Marketplace Connect app. They actually acquired a company called Codisto and rebranded the software back in 2023. And the economics of the app itself are, well, they're surprisingly friendly for getting started.
Just rare. Right.
Very rare. It is completely free for your first 50 synced marketplace orders every single month. After you cross that threshold, it just costs 1% per extra order, and that fee is capped at a maximum of $99 a month.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because knowing the app exists and knowing it's affordable is great, but installing an app on Shopify is fundamentally different from successfully publishing a live product on eBay.
Utterly different, yeah.
Reading through the source material, I kept picturing eBay not as this, friendly digital marketplace, but as a nightclub.
A nightclub?
Yeah, and not just any nightclub, but one with a ridiculously strict bouncer working the front door, just strictly enforcing a dress code that actually changes depending on what room you want to enter.
Right. I love that. That analogy perfectly captures the friction of the initial setup, because the rules of entry are entirely different. By Shopify's logic, a product is valid and ready to sell the moment you give it a title and a price.
Right, because you own the store, so you make the rules.
Exactly. But eBay applies a secondary, incredibly strict set of data rules right on top of yours. And the real hurdle is that they apply these rules differently per category.
So you might have a Shopify product that looks fantastic. It has gorgeous high-resolution photos, a witty, engaging description. You walk it up to the eBay bouncer, and the bouncer basically says, "Sorry, you don't have the right shoes." And on eBay, the shoes are what they call item specifics.
Yes, item specifics.
Yeah.
Which are these structured data fields attached to a specific category. They aren't just, random tags, and they certainly aren't your description text.
Right.
eBay's entire search engine relies on this structured data to actually filter results for buyers.
Right.
So if you are selling a coffee mug, they want the material, the capacity, the brand, and the color separated into distinct database fields.
Which is a lot of extra work if you haven't done that already.
It is. Now, the documentation we reviewed highlights a pretty fascinating contradiction regarding these fields.
Oh, yeah, I noticed this too.
Right. Shopify's own help article claims that missing a required item specific just costs you search visibility. But eBay's official guidance states outright that you cannot publish the listing at all without them. It will literally throw a hard error.
Wait. So if Shopify says your listing is just hidden in a dark corner of the club, but eBay says the bouncer literally tackles you at the door. I mean, the platform hosting the party is the one making the final call. We have to assume eBay's harsher reality is the actual truth here. Who do we believe?
You absolutely have to plan for the harsher eBay reality. You have to plan for the hard block. Even if Shopify's softer interpretation were somehow true, a listing with zero search visibility on a marketplace is functionally dead anyway, right?
Yeah, exactly. No one will find it to buy it.
Right. And beyond the item specifics, you also have to navigate product identifiers. In most retail categories, eBay acts like a strict international inventory manager. They demand a GTIN, a global trade item number, which is, your standard UPC barcode or a brand name or a manufacturer part number, commonly known as an MPN.
Which honestly sounds like an absolute nightmare if your catalog just grew organically from a bunch of random supplier spreadsheets or, if you sell vintage one-off items that obviously don't have barcodes.
Oh, it can be a massive roadblock. But the source documents a very important escape hatch that sellers really need to know about.
Okay, what is it?
If you sell antiques, handmade goods, or unbranded items, eBay's system actually allows you to select a specific drop-down value called Does Not Apply.
Oh, that's a relief. So you don't have to fabricate a fake barcode or buy one from some sketchy website.
Exactly. You don't. But the mechanism requires you to explicitly declare that the identifier does not apply. You cannot simply leave the field blank in Shopify or the syncs will just fail.
That makes sense. You have to fill the form out, even if the answer is literally none. So, okay, we've got our ID sorted. What about the item condition? In Shopify, I just write gently used or new in my text description and kind of just call it a day.
Doing that on eBay will trigger another hard rejection.
Really?
Yeah, there is no universal new or used toggle across the whole platform. Condition values are published per category group. In fact, in July 2026, the source counted 17 entirely different condition groups.
Wow, 17.
17. Clothing has its own subgroups with tags like new with defects. Books have a specific grading scale, and coins are separated into graded versus ungraded. And this is a critical point. Starting in August 2026, eBay is enforcing a new mandate where apparel and footwear listings with unclear or missing size and condition details will be actively hidden from search.
Until the merchant updates them.
Right, until they update them with the proper structured data.
Man, the bouncer isn't just working the door. They were actively walking through the club and kicking people out if their condition tags fall off.
That's a great way to put it.
And there's another thing that gets you kicked out, which is your HTML description. The source notes that if your Shopify description contains any active content, meaning things like JavaScript, Flash animations, or certain embedded plugins, eBay will throw a disallowed syntax error and block the listing instantly.
Yeah, they strip all of that out for mobile security and to keep page load speeds fast.
Right.
Keeping the data clean is their absolute priority.
Right.
So assuming you appease the bouncer, your item specifics map perfectly, your identifiers are logged, your HTML is super clean, your listing is finally live on eBay.
Finally.
Which transitions us from the illusion of a simple plug-and-play setup into the ongoing daily reality of inventory management.
All right, so we're inside the club. But now we have a totally new problem, which is essentially the coat check. When someone buys that jacket on eBay, how does your Shopify store actually know the jacket is gone? Because in the software world, it syncs is probably the most dangerous marketing phrase ever invented.
Oh, absolutely.
Because it implies a perfect, symmetrical, two-way mirror.
What's fascinating here is how carefully you actually have to read the documentation to uncover the truth about that mirror. The flow of data has a very specific direction, and it is heavily governed by the quantity rules that you select in the Marketplace Connect app.
Okay.
The source outlines 4 specific rules you can choose: stock level, fixed value, buffer, and maximum quantity.
Let me deduce something here based on just the terminology. If I choose fixed value and tell the app to just send number 10 to eBay, or I use a buffer to keep 2 items in reserve, Shopify isn't explicitly promising that a live automatic sync occurs to reduce my main store's stock when an eBay sale happens, are they?
That deduction is entirely correct. Out of those 4 options, only the stock level rule is officially documented by Shopify to create a live sync that automatically reduces your Shopify admin stock immediately after an eBay sale.
Wow. So for the others,
a live sync just isn't stated. The systems might not talk to each other in real time. You must explicitly select the stock level rule if you want to prevent overselling, and frankly, you should verify it with a manual test order to ensure the API handshake is actually working.
Right, because Shopify is the ultimate source of truth for your stock here, which brings up a massive technical hurdle for anyone with a complex catalog. Say I have a product with hundreds of variations, maybe a t-shirt in 10 sizes, 15 colors, and 3 different materials. Does Shopify Marketplace Connect just magically map my complex product variants to eBay's system?
This is where we see a significant systemic clash. eBay has very strict architectural limits on variations. A single fixed price listing can only hold up to 5 variation details like size, color, pattern, with a maximum of 50 values per detail and a hard cap at 250 variations total.
250 total.
Yeah. Furthermore, if you want to run an auction-style listing, auctions cannot carry variants at all.
Wait, so if I have a catalog of 300 paint colors sitting on one single Shopify listing, the integration just breaks.
It shatters. And the underlying mechanism for this failure is that Shopify officially lists product variant among the meta-field types that Marketplace Connect simply does not recognize.
You're kidding.
No, because Shopify structures databases as a parent product with child variants. eBay expects a flatter, more distinct entry for items. Because of this database mismatch, Shopify documents no automatic mapping rule for complex variants. If you exceed eBay's limits, the connector app will not gracefully fix it for you. It will just fail to publish.
Ouch. Okay, so we've navigated the listing gates. We've got our inventory tracking mostly figured out by forcing that stock level rule. Let's talk about the actual transaction, the true cost of a sale. When that item finally sells, how much of the money do you actually keep? Let's walk through the $50 order example detailed in the source material.
The math here is really illuminating. If you sell a $50 item directly through your own Shopify basic checkout, using Shopify payments, it costs you roughly $1.75 in standard credit card processing fees.
Nice, clean, and totally predictable.
Right. Now take that exact same $50 sale on eBay, assuming you are in most standard non-store categories. eBay charges a 13.6% final value fee. And crucially, that percentage is applied to the total sale amount, which includes the item price, the shipping charge, and the sales tax, plus a 40-cent per order flat fee.
Okay, let me do that math. 13.6% of 50 plus 40 cents. That comes out to $7.20.
Exactly. That equates to an effective take rate of 14.4% on the transaction. The gap between your Shopify fee and the eBay fee on that single $50 order is $5.45.
Ouch. So we are paying vastly more per transaction. Doesn't this just destroy your profit margins? If I'm losing an extra $5 every single time I sell a $50 item, a lot of merchants are going to ask why on earth they would open this channel at all.
Well, the initial reaction is always sticker shock, right? But you have to completely reframe how you look at that $5.45. You shouldn't view it as a penalty or a loss.
How should I view it?
You must view it as a customer acquisition cost. It is the fee you are paying to reach a buyer who was actively browsing eBay with their wallet already open and who never would have stumbled across your standalone Shopify website.
Ah, I see. You're saying we have to view this exactly like marketing spend. It's no different than, say, paying $5 for a click on Google Ads that leads to a conversion.
Precisely.
It is only a loss if that buyer was already a loyal customer of yours, and you just pay eBay 14% for the privilege of a transaction you could have processed yourself for $1.75.
Exactly. You are paying for the reach and the platform trust. But you also need to factor in the add-ons, because 14.4% is just the baseline.
Well, there's more.
Yeah. If you use promoted listings on their general campaign strategy to boost visibility, you are bidding an ad rate between 2 and 100% of the sale price. Now, you only pay that if the item actually sells via the ad within 30 days, but it directly subtracts from your margin. Then there's a 1.65% international fee if the buyer is outside the U.S., plus the 1% Shopify connector fee if you are past your 50 free orders for the month.
Wow, that fee stack can balloon to 20% or more incredibly fast. And what about when a customer demands a refund? If I process a refund on Shopify, I generally just lose the transaction fee. Does the disjointed Shopify eBay accounting handle a return smoothly?
Not smoothly at all. If the order originated on eBay, you generally have to process the refund through eBay's dashboard to ensure you get your final value fees credited back. And the money to fund that refund comes out of your eBay pending funds or your linked bank account, not your Shopify payout balance.
Let's talk about mitigation then, because I always see forum posts telling new sellers, just buy an eBay store subscription, it lowers your fees. Is that true?
Well, that advice requires a very close reading of the fine print. A starter store, which costs $7.95 a month, does not lower your fee percentage at all.
Wait, really?
Really, it merely gives you a higher allotment of zero insertion fee listings. To actually lower your final value rate, you have to upgrade to at least a basic store, which runs $27.95 a month.
Knowing the math we just did, I'm assuming that drop isn't massive.
It's not. It basically moves you to a slightly better fee table. For most categories, your base rate drops from 13.6% to 12.7%. The threshold for when the fee drops even lower for high-ticket items also kicks in earlier, at $2,500 instead of $7,500.
So if I'm saving roughly 0.9% per transaction, I'd have to sell over $3,000 a month on eBay just to break even on the $28 monthly subscription fee. You really have to run the numbers on your own specific volume. But I know top-rated plus is another highly coveted status for sellers to lower fees, right?
It is highly coveted, yes, because it offers a 10% discount on your final value fee.
Yeah.
But the criteria are brutal to maintain. First, you must earn top-rated status, requiring strict sales volume, 90 days of tenure, and near-zero defect rates. Then, the specific listing must offer same or one-day handling time and 30-day or longer free returns. Furthermore, the discount only applies to the percentage portion of the fee. You still pay the flat per-order fee.
Here's where it gets really interesting. The sale is made. eBay has taken their healthy 14% cut, the item is shipped, and maybe you've even earned your top-rated status. How does the rest of the money and the valuable customer data make its way back to your Shopify admin? Spoiler alert for everyone listening, it mostly doesn't.
No, it really doesn't. This is where the illusion of a single, unified merchant dashboard completely shatters. Let's start with the money flow. eBay operates entirely on their own managed payment system. They handle the credit card processing and eventually send the payout to your actual bank account on their own schedule, which is usually daily or weekly.
Meaning that revenue never hits my Shopify payments account.
Never. The two ledgers are totally separate. And if eBay decides to place a hold on your funds, perhaps because of an unusual spike in claim volume, late deliveries, or unverified tax info, your Shopify connector app is completely blind to it.
Huh.
Shopify cannot see the hold, and their support team certainly cannot help you release it.
I picture this entire integration like opening a pop-up shop inside a giant legacy department store. You bring your own products, you meticulously arrange them on their shelves, but when a customer actually wants to buy, the giant department store rings them up at their own register.
That analogy extends perfectly to the sales tax, too. As a marketplace facilitator, eBay is legally required to automatically calculate, collect, and remit U.S. sales tax on your behalf to the various state governments. Sellers cannot opt out of this system.
Which, on the surface, sounds fantastic. That is significantly less tax compliance paperwork for me to worry about.
It is a relief from compliance, yes, but it becomes a nightmare if you try to fully automate your bookkeeping. Because that collected tax money is held by eBay and bypasses your Shopify store entirely, your automated Shopify tax and revenue reports will never perfectly align with your actual bank deposits. Your reconciliation process, or your accountant, has to expect and manually account for that gap every single month.
Going back to the department store analogy, they rang up the customer, they took the tax, they cut me a check on their own schedule, but they also kept the customer's loyalty card.
Right. The buyer belongs to eBay. They're protected by eBay's money-back guarantee, which often overrides your store's bespoke return policy. Most importantly, you do not get to import those buyers into your Shopify email marketing list.
They don't give you the email.
No, eBay obscures the direct contact info to prevent off-platform transactions. You're renting an audience, not building your own asset.
Which brings us to the bugs. Because software is never perfect, and the source highlights a major documented fault from June 2026 that perfectly illustrates the danger of two massive separate systems colliding.
This is a crucial warning regarding catalog structure. Sellers reported that the Marketplace Connect app was erroneously sending the parent's code to eBay instead of the specific variant Suhail.
Explain the mechanism behind why that is such a catastrophic failure for a merchant.
Well, it goes back to the different database structures we discussed earlier. When someone buys a blue medium shirt on eBay, the app needs to tell Shopify to deduct one from the blue medium stock. But instead, the app panics during translation and just sends the general code for the shirt design itself. Shopify receives a generic code, doesn't know which variant sold, and therefore cannot reduce the stock level.
So your live sync is instantly broken, and you risk overselling. And the most frustrating part has to be the support handoff loop. When a merchant contacts Shopify about this, Shopify investigates and says, eBay rejected the variant attribute because it collided with a category item specific, so it's an eBay problem.
Right.
And then the merchant goes to eBay, and eBay says, our system is working perfectly. We just received the broken data your app sends. It's a Shopify problem.
It is structurally unowned. Neither support desk has the cross-platform authority or, honestly, the technical visibility to fix a core collision between the two APIs. You are caught in the middle.
Given all of this, the strict bouncer at the door enforcing item specifics, the 14% fee stack, the disconnected accounting ledgers, the support loops, who should actually use this integration and who should run screaming in the opposite direction? Looking at this fee stack, the math makes the loser profile pretty obvious. If you are a dropshipper or someone operating on razor-thin gross margins under 20%, this integration will literally eat your entire profit before you even ship the box, right? Who else needs to stay away?
You're spot on about the low-margin sellers. Unless you can successfully use the Marketplace Connect pricing rule to permanently mark up your items specifically for eBay just to absorb the fees a channel isn't viable. You should also skip this if you have massively complex multi-variant products that blow past that 250 variant ceiling. And fundamentally, if your entire business model relies on owning the customer email list for repeat subscription-style purchases, eBay is simply not your channel.
So who are the winners? Who actually thrives in this environment?
Sellers of used, pre-owned, and refurbished items do incredibly well here. eBay's architecture, with its detailed condition grading, fundamentally understands that the exact same product can exist in various states of wear. Shopify struggles with that out of the box.
I would assume sellers dealing in parts and components are massive winners too, given the MPN requirements we talked about.
Unquestionably, when a mechanic needs a specific alternator for a 2018 sedan, they don't browse. They search the exact manufacturer part number. eBay captures that highly specific, intent-driven search traffic beautifully. Collectibles and trading cards also win because they enjoy a slightly lower fee tier, sitting at 13.25%. At high volumes, that small margin really matters. And finally, eBay is a fantastic liquidation channel for sellers with overstock or returns who want to clear inventory without training their main website customers to constantly expect heavy discounts. This raises an important question though, right? If you do fit the winner profile, how do you actually start integrating without blowing up your entire catalog and creating an inventory nightmare?
Right. And the source outlines a pre-flight checklist, which I think contains the absolute best piece of actionable advice in the whole 32-minute read. Do not upload your whole catalog at once. It sounds incredibly tempting to just hit sync all and watch the listings populate, but the explicit advice is to publish one single test listing.
It is the only safe way to prove the two systems are actually communicating correctly. You need that one test listing to verify that your specific categories required item specifics mapped correctly without triggering the bouncer.
And more importantly, you need to process one real sale to prove that the stock level rule we emphasized earlier is actually moving the inventory number down inside your Shopify admin. You have to monitor the admin, see the number drop from 10 to 9, and verify the money flow before you scale up to hundreds of items. Measure twice, cut once, but for APIs.
Exactly. The testing phase is non-negotiable if you want to protect your merchant rating on both platforms.
As we wrap up this journey, the big takeaway here is that the official eBay Shopify integration is a remarkably powerful tool, and it's surprisingly accessible given that it's free for the first 50 orders. But it is not magic software that runs itself. You have to respect eBay's strict data gates, you have to rigorously do the math on a 14% plus fee stack, and you have to prepare your accountant for manual bookkeeping reconciliation.
If we circle back to your opening metaphor, eBay truly is a massive ocean of buyers. But I want to leave you with a lingering thought built on the idea of renting an audience. If you successfully build a massive, lucrative secondary channel on eBay, you are actively training your buyers to go to eBay to find your products. And once they are searching on eBay, the platform's user interface is purposefully designed to make them easily cross-shop your competitors on the very same page.
Oh, wow. So by succeeding there, you might just be handing your hard-earned brand loyalty over to a marketplace algorithm that prioritizes the lowest price over your brand story.
The lingering question you have to ask yourself and constantly monitor is this: does succeeding wildly on a rented marketplace ultimately cannibalize the long-term independent brand value of your standalone Shopify store?
That is a heavy, necessary question to chew on before you hit that sync button. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Keep learning, keep questioning the fine print, and we'll see you on the next one.